Good morning, everyone. Lovely of you to join me again on what is certainly where I am, a very wet, rainy morning. Ironic, really, because I woke up to find out that my water was off. The water board apparently are having a look into that, and hopefully it'll be on within a couple of hours. So this week we're going to talk about where our food comes from. Now, it's something that we have all asked ourselves, I think, much more over the last few years. Where's it from? How many air miles? How fresh is it? Are we still getting the same amount of nutrients from something that is frozen as we are from something that's fresh or even tinned? Certainly with the lockdown, we've perhaps been pushed into different ways of shopping. Also, imports aren't perhaps as plentiful as they have been. We've perhaps had to look at other foods. So we need to look at what's in season, where's it from? Is it local or has it had to be shipped? And also, is it fresh or frozen? All of these things can be very acceptable. It's not that any of these are wrong for us, but if I go into a few different foods, you'll understand really what I'm getting at. If you think of something like fish, now I'm very lucky in that since the COVID virus, it perhaps happened before, but since we're in lockdown, we have a fish van that comes around on a Tuesday. Highlight of my week. I absolutely love it. I love fish anyway, but his fish is absolutely delicious. Probably the freshest, most flavoursome fish I have tasted in years. Now, if you get your fish from a supermarket, which most of us do, you may see a sign that says fresh fish. Now, fish can be called fresh, hard to say after a few gins, so it can be called fresh even if it has been chilled on ice for up to 2 weeks. The minute it is frozen, it cannot be called fresh. You'll often see a little tiny sign that says has been frozen, so be very careful with this. Then you've got things like perhaps New Zealand lamb. We know that it generally is a good price, but that has come from, as we know, New Zealand, so it's actually had many, many air miles, also a lot of time, and that lamb, although it comes chilled, is often more than 2 weeks old before it gets to your supermarket. So therefore, how old is it by the time you buy it and then you use it? Things like apples, they also are transported chilled. And they are also sprayed with gases to prevent them from over ripening in transit. So why aren't we buying our own local apples? It's certainly worth looking at. Bagged salad, a lot of us do that. It often comes from Spain. They often have a longer season than we do. And you probably, if you've been in Spain in the last few years, seen all the polytunnels. And they do a lot of these bagged salads. So check on the salad bag labels where it comes from. Now they're washed in chlorine to keep the leaves fresh and crisp. And we all know that the minute you open those bags, yes, it's fine if you eat all those salad leaves straight away, but if you leave it for a couple of days, it does go off very, very quickly. Far better, if you can, to buy a whole lettuce, for example, a romaine or a cos or a little gem or even iceberg, whatever is your preference, but it will last a lot longer and it's much fresher. Things like your bread, you will see that sign, fresher for longer. How? Because they've actually pumped all sorts of preservatives into that bread, and that's therefore going to affect the quality of the bread that we're eating. And the last thing at the moment that I'm going to mention is potatoes. The new potatoes, the tiny baby ones, they tend to be very fresh. So things like your new Ayrshire's or even the Jersey Royals tend to be really fresh. But if you're buying baking potatoes, they last a lot longer and they can be up to 6 months old when you get them. Now, is there anything wrong with us not eating food that's completely fresh? It can be okay. It's not that it's bad for us. It's not going to kill us, but we're possibly losing quality. We're certainly losing a number of nutrients and we're very often losing flavour. So how do we make sure that what we're getting is good for us? The first thing is buy local. By that, I mean that you can buy things that are grown or produced locally bred meat, that sort of thing. Apparently butchers, farm shops and greengrocers have been so busy during lockdown. They said they've never had such a busy trade. Can we continue to do that? It's good for them, it's good for our economy, and it's also good for us. We're also not getting involved in air miles as regards any of the food that's being transported to us from other countries. Eat in season. We know what's in season, but just as a general guide, fish at the moment, lemon sole, salmon, sea bass, trout, all are in season. Then you've got your vegetables, obviously your lovely new potatoes, spinach. You've got asparagus, watercress, beetroot, cucumber, salad leaves, all great for us. And then you've got all the lovely berries at the moment, the strawberries, the raspberries, even cherries, and rhubarb is still around. So we can go for lovely fresh food. Have any of you tried the food boxes? You can get pure veg boxes. and they're delivered to your door, or they will do a food box which actually has all the ingredients for a particular recipe. They are very good in that what tends to happen with those, and you can order them for different numbers of people, 1, 2, 4, whatever number of people. You can specify that you're vegetarian, or if you want a small portion. They do all sorts of in their range. And what happens is they will send you only what you need for that meal. Therefore, you're not having very much waste at all, if any. It's things like you're not having to buy, as we've all done, a whole bottle or jar of a particular spice to make a dish, and then you find 5 years later that spice jar is still sitting in your rack unused. They will send you the exact amount that you need. In the main, they try to source food locally. So it'll be locally grown veg, locally produced meat, all that sort of thing. So it might be worth looking at to get some really fresh, see, can't say it. And I've not had any gins at all this morning, fresh veg or fish. So we've been forced a little bit into doing this. We all have known that cooking from scratch is good, but by being in lockdown, I think many of us had the opportunity. It's the time to do it, and it's worked really well. We've all come across some great recipes. We're in control of what we're doing, and if you go for the pre-prepared meals, the ready meals, even if they are just the ingredients in a box, as for example in Marks and Spencer's or Tesco's or wherever supermarket, whichever supermarket you go to, you can't tell where all of those different foods are from. So if you cook from scratch, you have more control. So like I said, COVID and the lockdown has perhaps forced us a little into eating and shopping differently. Can we continue that? It is good for us. It is good for our economy. So give it a try. Keep well, keep healthy, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.